Nigel wants to stay in an upper-class organisation, Coutts Bank, and he wants to have a campaign against the upper class, which is his political campaign. So there's a conflict here. And this is just in the nature of banking. You choose your customers, and it's completely normal for an organisation to decide on some customers and on others. And so I support the bank, frankly. Nigel took this step. He joined. He then decided he hated upper-class people. He hates the old style way of doing things in Britain. And good luck to him. And, many people would agree with him. But he can't have it both ways, and that's what he wants at the moment. He wants to join the snob organisation, stay in the snob organisation, Coutts, and at the same time, he wants to criticise the upper class all the time. Yeah, so there's a conflict there, and the conflict was bound to arise sooner or later.
Yeah, but Jeremy, it cannot be right.
And what happens with banking?
Jeremy, hold on. It can't be right, can it, when whatever your political views, because we all rely on banks now in a way that we didn't previously, we can't run our lives without a banking system now, that banks can simply, at their own whim and pleasure, say, well, actually, we don't agree with what you stand for, therefore we're not going to provide you with a service. How can that be right?
Well, the bank is under an awful lot of pressure from people like the government. If you imagine a bank getting a new customer, they have to perform something called KYC, Know Your Customer. And in that, you have to check on the customer to make sure they're not doing any money laundering. They're not against government policy or behaving correctly. The regulator is going to approve of this new customer. So that's completely normal behavior. And you can't just walk in and get a bank account. You have to be checked the whole time against the government's own criteria.
Yeah, but that's about legal.
So when the government...
Forgive me, Jeremy, but that's...
decided to get rid of Nigel, it's a kind of unpleasant process, let's be frank, but it's a normal process. That's going on the whole time. Let's say Just Stop Oil walked in and asked for a Coutts Bank account. They would say, no, forget it. We're not having you here. We don't like you. Yeah, but our customers don't like Just Stop Oil, so we're not going to have you. Yeah, that is normal behaviour by a bank. Unfortunately, now being revealed to the masses, an ugly side of banking.
But there is an argument to say, isn't it? If you're going to use Just Stop Oil as an example, Just Stop Oil are carrying out some things which are against the law of the land. Nigel Farage hasn't broken any laws, he hasn't broken any rules, he just holds a different viewpoint to those people in the bank. Your argument seems to be suggesting that actually Big Brother is alive and well and you're supporting it.
Well, no, hold on a second. Nigel Farage joined in the system when he applied to join Coutts Bank. He basically filled out a form saying, I'm not upper class, but I want to join the upper class as quickly as possible. I want to make loads of money and be a snob like, earls and lords and all the rest of it. That's what by joining Coutts, that's what you sign up for.
No,
if he joined a normal bank,
no, it isn't.
Then he would just want a normal banking service. He didn't do that. He joined the snob bank. And then he decided that the snobs, the people who run this country, the establishment, they're doing a very bad job, and he hates them. That's his new political view. So that's the conflict. I'm afraid the conflict is always going to come out here.
So you think Coutts were completely within their rights?
In banking, to check, do you want to support these people? If you don't want to support them, then you can't have them as bank customers.
So, Jeremy, you think Coutts Bank were totally within their right to not allow Nigel Farage to bank with them because he doesn't hold the same political values as them, because the government wouldn't agree with you. You said earlier that the banks are under pressure from the government to carry out the correct checks. Yes, that is true. But it's the government themselves now on the front pages of the newspapers who are criticising Coutts Bank and this decision. They're talking about new legislation to stop banks cancelling their customers.
Well, I think they'll be very much against other government policy on things like money laundering. So the bank is always checking customers to fit in with the government requirements on what is a good customer, what's a bad customer. A friend of mine gets new customers for a bank, and he said there's two things he can't do. He can't have, there's a whole industries where he's not allowed to get the customer, like, say, tobacco. He can't get a tobacco customer. And there's whole countries where he's not allowed to get a customer, Iran, for example. So these are both against government policy, and he cannot get those customers. So if you're making a lot of money selling cigarettes in Iran, you can't join this particular bank. I mean, all I'm saying to you is wake up. This is the way life goes. When you walk into, say, Harrods, you have to dress as a Harrods customer. You have to look all kind of snobby and rich and upper class. That's the deal. Wakey, wakey. If you don't want that, then walk into Harrods. Don't walk into...
But there's a very big difference, Jeremy, between, dealing with a country like Iran or someone who's making their money in a country like Iran. There's a big difference between money laundering and things which are illegal in this country to someone who holds a view that you don't agree with. A legal view that you don't agree with.
In theory, I agree with you. In practice, I don't. Let's say a new customer walks into your bank and has a load of money. You immediately apply KYC and get very suspicious and check on their aunts or their uncles and all the rest of it to see any connection with either Iran or those forbidden countries or money laundering. So that's normal behavior in a bank. Every day it's going on. And the government wouldn't want any other way to happen. It couldn't possibly allow that. And it's completely normal in a snob brand for you to have to shape up when you walk in the door. If you walk into Claridge's hotel, you have to look smart and look lovely, otherwise you don't get in. Nigel Farage can't have it both ways. He's become is one of Britain's major anti-establishment figures. Good luck to him. I think the establishment has done a very poor job in running this country. And that's his position. But he can't then say, I want the benefits being upper class, and yet constantly to attack them. What I was saying to Nigel is, choose your battle. Which side are you on? You are not on the side of the Britain's upper class. So when it comes to Coutts Bank, clear off, Nigel. You don't belong there. You would feel uncomfortable.
OK. Jeremy Baker, we've
choose his values.
We've got to leave it there. We'll leave you to the grandchildren. Thanks very much indeed.